Alright, hello everyone. Alex, also known as Vicdictus, with our first Alex's Big Thought. I'm wearing the fairly formal clothes in front of the bookcase set today. I hadn't meant the first Alex's Big Thought to be so serious and boring, but I felt this was an important issue to cover, and if I didn't, no one would, because who wants to cover the bills that get passed? That's a boring subject. I had originally meant to make this video earlier, but when I first heard this news, I was actually so upset. It bothered me a lot as an American that when I originally heard it last week, that I needed a few days to process. So, about 2 weeks ago, the Senate passed Bill S.1, or S1, Strengthening America's Security in the Middle East Act of 2019, which is a very flowery title, as they often give these bills to hide what's inside it. I have a link in the description. This does come from the congress.gov website, but I archived it for posterity. You know how the internet works nowadays. I'm going to be reading from the summary today. Don't have time to go through the whole bill line by line and decipher the legalese, but if that's something that interests you, feel free to do so. So this is a bill with multiple acts in it, as most bills are now ginormous and cover too many things. And today I mostly want to focus on the Combating BDS Act of 2019 part of this bill. That part of the bill allows a state or local government to adopt measures to divest its assets from entities using boycotts, divestments, or sanctions to influence Israel's policies. Such measures shall meet various requirements, including those related to written notice and comment. So, in essence, this is a bill that allows state and local governments to go against the BDS movement, which is boycott, divest, and sanction against Israel. There's a number of groups that are doing this for reasons that they are against Israel, religious or policy-wise. And this allows state and local governments to do something that is essentially unconstitutional. And why is this unconstitutional? Because it goes against your First Amendment rights. Your right to freedom of speech, and to a lesser extent freedom of assembly. And that you can be punished by the government for those things. And while this isn't the federal government punishing you, it's the federal government attempting to allow your state and local governments to punish you for doing that. Which as an American is just, it's highly disappointing that our lawmakers would do this. I don't understand why they're trying to keep the interests of a foreign power above the rights of its citizens. It's highly stupid, it's highly unpatriotic, it goes against everything this country was founded on. I can't believe this particular portion of the bill was passed. So that's the main thing you have to focus on. This part of the bill is unconstitutional. If we're lucky, the House, mostly controlled by Democrats, will strike this down because this is a Republican proposed bill. If we're not, it gets passed, it likely gets signed. This particular part will probably get overturned in a court. The rest of the bill is mostly funding and aid for Israel, which again, as an American, I don't see why we need to do this. Why do we need to play the whole policing game where we have to save the whole rest of the world from their issues? We should not be in the Middle East. America being in the Middle East is a problem, okay? We mess it up all the time because we don't actually understand what needs to be done there. Yes, is it a shame that terrible things happen in the Middle East, including humanitarian crisis? Yes, but it's not the place of Americans to step in and deal with it. It's a place of the countries in that area, in the Middle East, to solve their own problems. Americans need to stop not Americans, the U.S. government. Let's face the facts. The U.S. government. Most Americans do not want to be in perpetual war. The U.S. government needs to stop stepping in and delivering aid and playing favorites. Allow any wars that need to happen and any conflicts that need to happen in that area. We need to stop policing the area. That's how I feel about all intervention, not just intervention in the Middle East. I'm a non-interventionist. I believe America should be non-interventionist. I think it's one of our founding principles that most founding fathers would agree with. We need to stop having bills like these that have us stepping in to other countries. It's bullshit. It goes against I have it right here, my nice little copy of the Constitution. Generally, we go against the Constitution and pass a bunch of unconstitutional legislation, all in fighting terrorism and other evils in the world that we don't need to be fighting. It needs to be stopped. When you see legislation like this, call it out, write up your senators, tell them to vote against it. This is absolute bullshit, and it honestly needs to stop. We need to become a non-interventionist country. We need to stop policing the world like we have since World War II. That's about all, everybody. I'll see you next time.